Hi friends, welcome to our channel. In today's video, we are going to discuss about how are we going to use Java interfaces in real time and what is the advantage of interfaces which are already created in the Selenium API, and we are going to discuss that as well. Before getting into Selenium interfaces which are already available, first let's start with the Java interface and we'll focus mainly on what is the interface first. So the definition of an interface. An interface is a reference type in Java. It is similar to class, but it is a collection of abstract methods. So if you want to create a class in Java, we create a class as public class, say class name as HelloWorld. Similarly in Java, if you want to create an interface, you can say public interface, say interface name as suppose collection is interface, and we can add the methods here. And these methods are abstract. Public abstract void add, or else you can even write it down as public void add. Both are valid. Why? Because here, even though if you don't mention abstract keyword here in interface, all the methods are abstract methods by default. This is how we create an interface in Java, and these methods are abstract methods. And how are we going to use this interface? Usually the class use the interface by using the keyword implements. It means if the HelloWorld wants to use this interface, HelloWorld's class implements collection. So whenever we add this implements keyword followed by interface name, the HelloWorld class has to provide implementation for these two abstract methods. Means we have to copy these two methods here in the HelloWorld class, and we have to provide implementation for these two methods like this. This is mandatory, otherwise the compiler will throw an error. And one more point, interface should not contain non-static methods. Why? Because these two methods are by default static. And you can have static methods also. Say static abstract, say void delete. Interface should not contain non-static methods. It means you cannot write a method like this. The complete implementation of the method is not possible. So if you write down like this public void delete all, and if you provide the implementation of this method, this is not valid in the case of collection, because this is a non-static method and we are providing implementation of this method. So this is not valid. So till now, whatever we discussed, let's start implementing this in Eclipse. Go to Eclipse, create a interface, select the package, select new, select the interface here. We are giving the interface name as say collection example. We give collection example interface. It's an interface. It has two methods. One is public void add, it's an abstract method. Public abstract void add all, another abstract method. Public static abstract void delete. Okay. As I said, interface contains static methods. So we can do one thing. We cannot put here semicolon. We have to write down like this. When this is static methods, you have to provide the implementation. When I say non-static methods, if you don't mention the static keyword, this will become a non-static method. And if you try to provide the implementation, this will not be acceptable. So a method, if you don't want to mention abstract, by default this is an abstract. This is an abstract method in interface. And these two methods, if you look at this is a static method, this is valid in the case of interfaces. This is not valid. The reason being it is a non-static method. 4 points. It allows the methods without abstract keyword. By default, abstract is a keyword in interfaces. So we added the interface method with abstract. Third point, you can have static methods within the interface. Fourth point, you can not have non-static methods within the interface. These 4 points are important. Let me remove this. Now, one more point. In the case of interface, the variables are constants. Suppose if you say int I is equal to 10, it means this is a constant by default. You can even mention int j is equal to 20. And also you can even mention the interface variables are final static. So all the three denotes I, j, k. I, j, k, I, j, k are by default final and static. So whenever there is a static variable or a static method, how do we call? Collection example dot I, collection example dot j, collection example dot k, or else collection example dot delete. You can call like that, because static methods, static variables, you can call directly using the interface name. Okay, now let's move on. I am trying to implement this interface now. Implements the interface as collection example. So here, when you try to quick fix, we need to add unimplemented methods. What are the unimplemented methods? Only these two methods are unimplemented methods. These two methods we are adding the logic here. These two methods we are adding the logic here. Okay, now let's get into the next point. Now here we have to provide the implementation of these two methods as per the interface, which is forcing the user to provide the implementation here. Now let's get to the third point. So third point is done, fourth point is done, fifth point. So methods, I will write down one more point. Methods are by default public, abstract. Variables by default public, static, final. So these points we have to remember, right? One more important point, a class can implement multiple interfaces. Okay, but one important point, we already know a class cannot extend more than one class. So this is important. Both we have to consolidate so that it is easy for us to understand. A class can implement multiple interfaces. Suppose I have an interface, I will create one more interface now. Collection example 1. Control C, Control V. I am creating one more interface like collection example 1. So in the collection example 1, I will add some abstract methods. Say I will try to put here as some abstract method I will put here. Say public void, say delete all. Okay, if you look into consideration, there are two interfaces here. One interface is collection example. How many methods it is having? Right click, quick outline. Collection is an example. It has totally 3 methods. 2 are abstract, 1 is static, and 3 variables are available. You can find out all this information here when you say quick outline. Similarly, if you look at the outline of this interface, quick outline, we know here there is one abstract method. So totally if I combine these 2 interfaces, I have totally 3 methods which are abstract, 1 method which is non-static, 3 variables which are final variables. So if I go here now, if I try to implement one more interface, what will happen? What will happen here? It will ask the user to import another abstract method. See, quick fix. Add unimplemented methods. We have to provide the implementation for the deleteAll method, which is available in the collection example 1. Okay, so this is very important because you can have different abstract methods in different interfaces. But if you want to use all the methods, you can combine the interfaces, say by comma, one interface, second interface, then third interface. Now, let's look into some of the examples already available in Java as interfaces. In Java, there is an interface called collection interface, which is very widely used, very well used in real time. Collection interface. We don't need to add any implementation of these abstract methods. These methods are already implemented in the classes which are implementing this interface. Let's have a look into this of the collection interface. If we just put collection interface here, let me put collection. It is part of the package java.util package. Let me click on this. So we can see here, try to close other windows. Now in Java, there is an interface already created, that is java.util is a package. It has the collection interface, okay, collection interface, and also this interface contains how many methods? Right click, say quick outline. You can see there are so many abstract methods which are available in this interface. And classes which are implementing this interface, suppose if you look at the classes, there are classes like, say, let's take list. There is one more interface called list, but the classes are array list. If you look into that, here array list implements list. Let me go to list. List extends collection. So here this is a very good example for us to know an interface list extends another interface collection, and finally our array list extends another class but implements list. So to understand this, let me put it in a notepad. See, collection is an interface, it has totally 5 methods. List is an interface, it has totally, say, another 4 methods are available. Right. Now what is the fundamental concept here is, here public interface collection is one interface already available, and public interface list extends another interface called collection. So totally here you have 5 abstract methods. Here we have 4 abstract methods. Now when it comes to the class, public class array list implements list. In this scenario, if you look into that, this list extends collection. So if you try to implement list, in the array list, we have to provide the implementation for 5 plus 4, totally 9 methods we have to provide implementation. So very important point that is identified here is a interface extends another interface. That is very important point. Okay, that is already explained in the Java documentation. Array list implements list. If you click on the list, list extends collection. This is a very good example in Java which we can explain in interviews about interfaces in Java. Next, coming to Selenium WebDriver. The same logic is also implemented in the case of Selenium WebDriver API also. In Selenium WebDriver, mainly we use WebDriver driver is equal to new Chrome driver. Okay, so what does it mean? Chrome driver is a class implementing the interface WebDriver. It means if you have an interface WebDriver, on this class Chrome driver implements WebDriver interface. So if you are able to implement an interface in Java, we can write it as interface reference equal to new class name. The instance of the class name is associated or stored in a interface reference variable. Now, one more point. Let's look into WebDriver interface. What is the content of WebDriver interface? Go back to the Eclipse. Let me put it here, WebDriver. Control click. So let me try to remove collection here. Let's try to focus on WebDriver. Okay. If you look into this, again here, this interface extends search context. What is search context? If you open search context is again an interface. So it is always a good practice. You can have multiple interfaces. One interface extends another interface, but the class is implementing only one interface. In the hierarchy, all the methods can be used. So here, public interface WebDriver extends search context, and again there is one more interface called public interface search context. So as part of this hierarchy, the abstract methods here, are totally implemented in this class. Okay, that is a understanding of the interfaces. But this is very well important. Everybody should know WebDriver is an interface and new Chrome driver is a class which is implementing interface. But there is one more point I'll tell you. If you go to Chrome driver, let's go back to the Chrome driver to see the class, how it has been written. Click on it. So if you see here, the Chrome driver is not directly implementing the WebDriver interface. The Chrome driver extending a remote WebDriver class, and remote WebDriver class implements WebDriver interface. So to understand this point, it is not only that a class which is implementing an interface has to be written like this. A class which is implementing the interface has to be written like this. Also, actually this is not right. Why? Because here remote WebDriver implements WebDriver. Now the public class Chrome driver extends remote WebDriver. So if you look into the logic here, remote WebDriver, if you look into the remote WebDriver, there is a remote WebDriver is a class which is implementing WebDriver. So in totality, if you look at this entire concept here, you can even write WebDriver driver is equal to new remote WebDriver, or else you can write down WebDriver driver is equal to new Chrome driver. Both are fine because Chrome driver is a subclass of remote WebDriver. Chrome driver class is a subclass of remote WebDriver, and remote WebDriver contains the implementation of the WebDriver methods. You can look out this information. The remote WebDriver is implementing the WebDriver, and Chrome driver is extending. Whenever you see extends on the class, Chrome driver is a class, remote WebDriver is a class. So this is very important to look into the API to understand the interface concept in Java. If you like my video, please subscribe and share. Thanks for watching my video.